Hey fellas on YouTube, arborist site, and anybody in a car building forum. Here's a super random video with no real direction whatsoever. So let's get into it. First, spent the day shopping. I got myself some injectors to, well, you'll see what I'm going to do with those there. A couple pairs of jeans from the Gap factory store. I'm a size 31 by 32 if anybody's interested. And what we got here, got a whole bunch of center drills for the lathe, because I tend to break those. My tail stock is about, let's call it a couple thousandths low, and I tend to break the small center drills. So we got the big ones this time, a couple of cans of Kubota Orange 2 paint. They changed the paint code, I think, might have been like late 80s to a different color orange. I got some painting to do on the tractor. Got a 1-inch annular cutter for the drill press. I got a weld-on shank. If you guys are familiar with annular cutters, you're basically just cutting out a little donut-sized hole in the piece of metal, like a hole saw, but like pretty much a reamed finish, as opposed to like a pretty chowdered up hole saw finish. So that's not an end mill. That's a hole saw, annular cutter as they call it. What else I got here in the box? I got a couple of lugs for my Ranger welder, the engine drive, oil filter for the Kubota. I did about 100 hours on it this year doing lawn renovation, so I should probably change the oil out for the schedule. A gallon of acetone. That's probably reclaimed acetone. I got it at Princess Auto, so just know that not all acetone is pure. So if you're doing composite work and you kind of rely on a solvent, you might want to spend the money on high quality stuff. We've got some hydraulic couplers for the hydraulic angle conversion I did on my Kubota, hence the orange paint. And I don't have any ID rings for color coding the hydraulic couplers, so there's a left and a right, so why not just use tie wraps? So I need orange, yellow and green to match on the tractor. This right here is a Sweet Tango apple. It's probably one of my favorites. The wife got that. It's right up there with the Ambrosias. Taste, quality, crispness. Just a random thought there. What else we got? Oh, the rest of the center drills and some 10W30. All right, let's move on down here. What is this? This is an LMP 3-wing off a, I don't even know the make of the model. The point is it's not going back on that car. A gentleman asked me to repair it, and that's what's going to happen. And we've ripped up the spar pretty good down here. That's NFG. And we've ripped up the facing, and it looks like this wing was constructed in a lower ply or lower plane, an upper plane, and the spar. And I haven't taken the wood packaging off here to have a look inside at the end caps. And there was an aluminum beam, a milled aluminum beam that was epoxied in. It was anodized, so we know they got a good bond, but they had ground all that off, and we know full well that we can't bond to bare aluminum because it's just not going to last. That needs to be properly anodized and converted to be able to bond to aluminum. And knowing full well where carbon fiber sits versus aluminum on the the nobility scale, they're polar opposites, and we know that's just going to corrode and be a problem, so we're going to have to do something else for a mounting system. So it looks like the bond line is just right in there. You can see the difference in colors there, and being a factory product, there is little air bubbles in here. It's not perfect. The finish is nice, it's uniform, it's flat, and it was most likely done in a very high quality tool, and most was likely done under a very high pressure and the correct temperature and time cycles in an autoclave. Looks like they've used 3 plies here, mic'd out a section, came out at about 29 thousandths of an inch thick over here. So it looks like everything was done with just 3 plies, and we know that 1 ply of carbon fiber, 2x2 12 weave, 9 ounces, is about 9 thousandths of an inch thickness. So once it's all laminated, they pretty much have a perfect cure here. And yeah, stay tuned for this. I'm going to map out all the damage. I got to step sand out a fillet so that we can do the proper repairs. And you'll see how I get that done. I'm still working out all the details of how I'm going to achieve this. So Short story long, I'm not really working on my car because other people in the motorsports community have found me and I'm working on their stuff. So that's what's going to pay the bills. Otherwise, did a little video of the 361P yesterday and managed to throw the chain off of it. So great job, shithead. You want to tell the world how awesome the saw is, and then you can't even get through your tree you're working on. So anyway, I think everybody knows here you're going to limb a tree with loaded limbs, and you're going pretty aggressive, pretty quick up the tree, and the loaded limbs. You're going to probably throw a chain. I've done that in every saw I've owned, so it doesn't really speak about the saw. It basically speaks about my technique and how a little aggressive I was there making that video. And for the hardcores, I think we both know the reason I threw the chain is because it's steel PS chain and it wasn't running 40-to-1. Just kidding. Has nothing to do with that at all, but that's an ongoing debate. Talk about the saw a little bit here. The muffler fell onto a 3/8 turning drill bit, and that's what happened. I know, a shame, eh? 355T muffler has no catalytic converter in it, so I swapped that out. I didn't want to screw around with the 361P muffler, so it revs a little bit better. Air intake track is much less restrictive, and it's got a different ignition coil on according to the IPLs. And having owned a 355T and a whole bunch of 200Ts and a 150T, which I used to climb with, and then decided there's more money to be made elsewhere in the landscape business than doing tree work, for me at least. So I kind of didn't aggressively pursue the tree work like I used to, and I wanted a small light saw that could just go everywhere and do the kinds of work that I do. I just respond to the call with clients, my existing lawn care and pest control clients, to say, hey, can you do some tree work? Yeah, sure. We'll get you done in November, December. So that's when I schedule it, and it's a great time to do pruning too, because you're not really going to do major damage to a tree and cause a lot of water sprouts. Short and long of it is I wanted a 201 rear handle, but I needed two tools back here in early spring, and it was just a product of, I could buy a Echo blower, that dude right there, and this 361P for what a 201 rear handle would cost. If I waited to the fall, I definitely would have got the 201 rear handle. Simple as that. I like the feel of the stouter magnesium casing, and I've run a 201 top handle before. They're pretty slick, provided you do the mods on an early one or you get an M-tronic later one. They're pretty good saws, and they just rev to the moon right away because they're on roller bearings. They're not on ball bearings like this saw. So this saw revs up pretty good. I'm going to say it's got around the power of the 200T with the spark screen out, and revs up pretty good, and largely it's a go-to saw right now. I got a 241, a 365X torque, and I have to say that this thing comes out first to get my work done. So that's really all I got to say about that. If you're going to buy one, do it on the dealer days. I would say that this is probably the lightest, most powerful chainsaw for the dollar you're going to find. And if you really wanted to spend the money, get a 201 rear handle. But in Canada, they're like $900. They're close to $1,000 out the door. I just have other places to spend $1,000 most of the time. But that's not saying I'm not going to do it. All right, let's talk about air compressor stuff. So a couple days ago, my auto drain and my Dominic Hunter 1 micron filter jammed up, along with the filter inside the air dryer, both at the same time, and the compressor had a really long fill cycle because they were just leaking out. So what I think was happening is, for my condensate oil separator here that I have made, I got some polypropylene mats in there to take the oil out of the water so I can just dump the oil out outside. That's not yet a government regulation, but I anticipate that's going to be something down the line. And you're saying, well, why does a guy in his home shop have all this? It's because Department of Labor visits me to make sure I'm legit. And not only that, I have a pest control operations business, so I get visits to see if I'm in compliance with things, whether it's to do with my metal fabrication business, my composite business, or my lawn care and pest control business. So I got to be above board on this stuff. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of check valves, well, one per condensate line into the oil water condensate separator, so that I'm not backfeeding oily, shitty water back into the auto drains. And that's what I think happened is we were, you know, when the auto drain cycles, I'll do it right now to show you. All right, that goes off every 10 minutes or so. What we're doing is we're forcing a bunch of condensate in here, and then some will backflow back into the other filters with the auto drain. So I think I just got them dirty, but we'll eliminate that problem by putting a couple of check valves so the condensate can only go into the separator. Now I might upgrade that filter over there. That's only a 20 CFM filter. I have some tools to run upwards of 40 CFM, big sanders and grinders and whatnot. And I think I'll swap that out and put a bigger filter on there. The reason being is that Parker filter is like 250. The filter element is probably about 180 bucks, and the whole system is about 250. And that was about 3 years ago, so I can only imagine what they are now. And the whole SMC line, I just think you get way more for your money in terms of, you know, the quality of components and the availability, and you don't have to wait for stuff. And there's a great distributor here. So I got good faith in the SMC stuff, so I think I might just go with that. I could probably get the whole new mainline filter system for less than the filter element for the Dominic Hunter. Anyways, the other thing is I managed to find another pump. Buddy didn't know what he was selling on Kijiji there. Looks like those pumps are about $2,000-$3,000 on their own now. I mean, the whole compressor is probably about $4,000, but that pump right there, managed to get another one. And I'd like to rig it up on just a stand with a 3-phase motor, run it with a VFD like I have here on the lathe, and we can get another 20 CFM into the system for really no good reason other than because I can. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and hopefully you found the video entertaining, and that's what I'm up to. It's been a busy year, and I hope to keep my foot on the gas over the winter with the goal of doing the last 3 things on this car so that I can get it road legal. And if not, well, hey, you know what? We got a trailer and there's a racetrack up the road. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully we can get this thing on the road here, and let's hope that the COVID stays at bay so I can keep my foot on the gas. All right, guys, thanks for watching.